Thank you for welcoming me onto your screens or onto headphones, depending how you're watching this. I'm Eddie, and this is the Rollback. Folks, I'm going to talk to you today about The Flash, aka the reset button? Kinda? So, the synopsis. Worlds collide when the Flash decides to use his powers to go back in time and rectify a wrong, saving his mother. However, a boom effect takes place, and the world is not as it seems. The Flash must now deal with a returning General Zod, but no Superman, no Kryptonian. So he must coax out of retirement a very different Batman and a different Kryptonian, I'll be not the one he's looking for, to battle Zod and save the past, present, and possibly the future. So the pros, just right off the bat, I did actually really enjoy the story. I love the idea of you fighting with yourself. I mean, who among us at the age of 30 wouldn't kick the crap out of your 20-year-old self? The version of you that's battle-hardened, the version of you that's gone through it, that's seen the shit, would probably kick the crap out of the younger version of yourself because you find yourself insufferable, annoying, stupid, cringy. Like, I'm in that boat. So when I see Barry having to deal with his younger version and being frustrated and angry and just like, why aren't you taking this seriously? I kind of get it. I understand, and I like that. I like that aspect of it. But not only that, it's not just meta in a way of like, oh, he's fighting with himself, like older versus younger in this capacity. It's also two different thought processes. You know, you have the one that's this dumb kid who never got his powers, who isn't scarred by the loss of his mother and the incarceration of his father. This person that's had it easy with good parents. Not their fault, but he can't take it seriously because he's a kid that's never had to take anything seriously as of yet. And then, out of nowhere, this older version of himself says, hey, everything's hitting the fucking fan, I need your help. Well, how do you expect for this guy to react, especially when you don't tell him the truth? That, spoilers, about to start I guess, that in our Barry's, in the original Barry's universe, the mom's dead. She's gone. So, in this alternative universe where she's alive, we need to fight to save this one, otherwise we're going to lose her forever. And going from there. I like that whole aspect of it. I like that angle. I think that's perfect for me. Also, and again, spoiler alert here, the fact that he can't save his mother is also heartbreaking, but I think proper, if that makes sense, because it's like, you can't go back and fix things. There's always something bad's going to happen. There's always going to be a negative that comes through with it. So the fact that he saves his mom is understandable, but also the fact that he has to let her go, it's heartbreaking, but you understand. There's a moment where in the grocery store, he's crying to her, but she thinks he's a stranger. I'm not sure, maybe Mother's intuition says otherwise, but she says your mother would be very lucky to have you. Like, your mother's a lucky person and whatnot. And she holds him and hugs him, and Barry just cries because he gets to see his mom and say goodbye, give her a proper goodbye. Which, yeah, sounds about right. But see, that also feeds into part of why I love Evil Flash, because who among us wouldn't fight to save our mother? Who among us wouldn't try to save her? And the fact that he goes through a million lifetimes trying to save Kara, trying to save his mom, trying to figure out what he can do differently to redo. Like, the third act is, we're led to believe, is a big battle against Zod, but they keep losing the fight. So Barry's big whole, like, we need to undo this. We need to go back and let mom die. His other version says, just give me one more chance. Just give me one more chance. It's not going to work. Inevitably, they're going to lose. And that's the kind of the main sort of villain, is older Barry, is the version of him that had both parents growing up, the one with the scar. That's the main bad guy in this, and they're fighting because he's been at this forever, and he's trying to save his mom, he's trying to save Kara, he's trying to fix everything. But at some point, you can only fix it so much. At some point, you need to go back and hit the reset button. Maybe that's a metaphor. I wonder. So, some of the CGI is great. I know people are having beefs with that, I'll mention that in a moment. But most of the CGI is actually pretty good. I actually really did enjoy seeing the two Barrys, coordinating with each other. It's not the first time one actor has played two roles, but apparently they're using brand new technology to make this one work, which, yeah, I liked it. So let's talk about one Michael F. Scott Keaton, aka the original The Batman. he's fun in this role. It's crazy because they even mentioned at one point when Barry goes to find Batman and he runs into Keaton even says, Barry tells them, what about Gotham? And Keaton says, Gotham's one of the safest cities in the world. Like, I won. Like, I did it. And it's crazy because this film feels like a logical extension. He's retired. He's by himself. He's on his own now. But he gets the itch to come back. And you see him enjoy it. At one point, he cuts his hair. He's stitching himself up. And he's having fun. And you can tell Michael Keaton is having fun, too. At the very least, he enjoys this story. Michael Keaton also played himself as the Batman in the Batgirl film, which is never going to get released, which, fine, I guess I don't care at this point. But Keaton was having fun. Also having fun, Sasha Callie, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, who plays Supergirl, Kara Zor-El. Kara Zor-El. Anyway, that said, she's great. She plays a great Supergirl. She is the third banana in this superhero trio, which, I mean, what do you expect? It's not her film, but I think she played the role very well. And I would love to see her, come back in the future. Maybe in another Supergirl film. Maybe she'll be in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. Maybe that'll be her part. But either way, I enjoyed everything I saw so far, and I hope we get to see more of her. So there's another interesting aspect I want to point out here. There's a point during the third part of the third act where we see multiple versions of the multiverse colliding. We do see for a moment the Flash, but we also see something interesting. We see George Reeves in his old, I think, 1950s version of Superman. We see Christopher Reeves playing Superman from the 70s, 80s, and Supergirl in that part. We see, get this, Nicolas Cage's version of Superman fighting the giant spider. All these universes colliding. We see Adam West's Batman colliding. We were supposed to get Linda Carter, I believe, as well, among other cameos that ended up having to be scrapped. But we get this multiverse of collision happening. And that's when Barry's we need to undo all this. Look at everything that's happening. Look at all the worlds we're destroying. And at first, I was why do they keep harking on Superman in all of these? They showed mostly versions of him. But then I remembered something. There is a version of the DC universe, the comics, called The Watchmen. The Watchmen, when DC and The Watchmen collide, pretty much. And there's a point in there where Superman and Dr. Manhattan come to blows. And Dr. Manhattan says, at the center of every single universe, there is a Superman. He is the center of it all in every single version, whether he's good, whether he's bad, whether he is white, black, male, female, there's always a super person at the center, Superman at the center. And I realized something. Are they pulling from that and they're making it to where Superman is the beginning of it all, always the beginning? Because obviously Superman Legacy will kick off the DCU proper. Blue Beetle's supposedly a part of the DCU, but you get what I'm saying. He's going to be Superman Legacy is going to kick off the DCU proper. So I'm beginning to wonder if that was on purpose, because it always begins with Superman. I don't know. That was just an interesting thing. A couple of last things I really like. Batfleck was fun while we had him for the whole 5 minutes, but he was great. I liked him. Thank you, Ben Affleck, for the role that you played. It's funny because he said he finally figured out how to play the role, but it happened to be in his last performance, which, fair enough. We also got a fun cameo from Gal Gadot. That was fun. Kind of cheesy. It was only a minute, but I liked it. What else? There are some funny moments with the Flash's powers, with the phasing, vomiting, and, transportation and all that. It was fun. The Flash, for the most part, there was a lot of fun moments in there, but especially between the two Barrys. Somehow the comedic timing worked between the two, and it worked for the most part. Lastly, I also want to point out something. I love that Michael Keaton's Batman died fighting, which is just like what Batman would do. It fits him. But also, if you notice, no Batman has ever died on film. It's never happened. The same way 007 never died until Daniel Craig's last movie, No Time to Die. Never fucking happened until now. And I love it. But yeah, there's a lot of positives in this film, but there's some negatives too. So, the cons of this film, there's more than a few of them. There's the questionable CGI at parts, which the director even went on record stating that sometimes the CGI is bad on purpose because we're seeing things from Barry's perspective where time is skewed, which maybe that's true. I can imagine that them having to do the CGI for the twin Barrys probably took up a lot of time. Fair enough. But that still doesn't change the fact that CGI is dodgy at parts. Also, at times, the story can get a little bit muddled and annoying. I appreciate it's like part origin story for young Barry, part teaching the new kid for older Barry. The story gets a bit muddled at parts. They do their best to try and keep it on a straight line. It's just dodgy at moments. Now, my big con, the big issue that I'm like really gonna hark on in here is, I guess, two scenes. The last scene where we see Batman is being played by George fucking Clooney for joke, whereas they probably should have had Michael Keaton there. If they're gonna get rid of Batflick, they'd have Michael Keaton, or just show the back of some young guy's head and like, you're a lot younger than I remember. Bruce, you look young. And boom, there we go. We have young Batman now. Like, it just reset the clock. Or fucking there's so many. You can tell the frustration. I'm frustrated because the Flash was supposed to be the reset button. That's what James Gunn said, and the fact that they ended the main film on a joke rather than like, oh, okay, so we now know this the new Batman is going to be a younger Batman. Like something along that line. Like, give us a Batman, fine, not an origin story, but at least someone who's been there for a while, but someone who's significantly younger, because Michael Keaton doesn't have another Batman film in him. At least he shouldn't. Neither should Batflick, for example. They should have started with someone younger. Fuck. Then the end credit scene was just a joke about Barry talking to Aquaman, and then Aquaman falls and just like swims, and he leaves him there in the water, and it's just... like, why was that the joke? Why was that the end credit scene? The end credit scene should have been something along the lines of, like, the Spectre, for example, saying, Barry Allen has no idea of the mistake that he's made, does he? What do you mean? When he went back in time, there was a paradox, there was a boom, and he just created more universes, more realities. How many? 52. And boom, there you fucking go. Barry Allen just created the multiverse. Or have him say he just compressed all 52 multiverses into one linear timeline. So what's gonna happen next? I don't know. And go from there. I hated how directionless I feel now for the DCU, because I was expecting the Flash to be the reset button, which it kind of was, but what else has changed? I'm frustrated at this moment. And I'll pitch how the Flash should have ended like a million times. I'll probably do an independent video on that, but it's just... God damn it. So, lastly, normally we don't do final thoughts in this. We do that in the podcast, which go check that out. We greatly appreciate it. Like and subscribe, greatly appreciate that. But I'm going to have to put in some personal thoughts here, some personal frustrations, because 2025 better be a great fucking year for DC, because we're releasing I consider myself a part of DC. We're releasing 4 films this year, 1 film in 2024, and then we pick back up in 2025 with Superman Legacy. That's going to be released in July. That said, that means we're going to get about 18 months with no DC film releases, with the exception of 1 Joker film, and that's it. And no releases as far as like the DCEU or the DCU is concerned. So 2025 better be a great fucking year, not just for DC, but for Warner Brothers as a whole, because since the merger happened between Warner Brothers and Discovery, or I guess between HBO and Discovery, like since that merger has taken place, they're redirecting everything that's going into DC, because let's face it, DC has a lot of money to be made. Again, I have a shit ton of DC stuff as fucking proof here. That said, 2025 better be a banner fucking year, because they need to hit Superman Legacy right. The Batman Part 2 should be coming to that year, and it better be great. The Harry Potter TV series is supposed to premiere in 2025. So all that put together, Warner Brothers, please, for the love of God, get your shit together. I'll fucking do it if you need me to. But I'm frustrated because this film, like I just said, it felt like it was supposed to end with a reset button, but it doesn't feel like it feels like we're directionless. Maybe Aquaman is gonna finish up on his side, and that'll be the part 2 to like feel like, okay, this is the end of it. I don't know. I really don't fucking know, and I'm frustrated, and I really hope everything gets better. As far as like grades are concerned, like this movie's an A to me because it's a lot of fun, and I like the story in it. I like the inner conflict between yourself and your younger self. I like the role that Michael Keaton played as more of a mentor role to the older Barry, who's older Barry's trying to be a mentor to younger Barry. I like Miss Sasha Calle as Superman. I love the way she played the role and how you felt like she had an impact immediately. It was all good, man. It really was. It's just I'm frustrated with DC right now. And I'm worried about what the future is going to bring. I don't know.